May 19th, 9:51 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And this is the True Blue Lounge. And tonight I have my good friend, Roger Simith. Roger, how are you doing tonight?
Great, sir, great.
All right, that's good, that's good. Roger, when you're going to have a good libation, what is your drink of choice?
At the moment, I'm drinking Appleton Reserve, but normally, if I'm in a nice setting and I'm trying to show off, I'll have a Glenlivet on the rocks with a really nice big piece of ice in it.
Wow, that sounds good. Sounds good. Okay, what's your favorite meal? You go to a restaurant and you need something that you really love. What are you going to order?
Oxtail rice and peas.
Wow, good choice. Good choice. Truly, truly Jamaican meal right there. Roger, I know that you hail from the UK at a very tender age and you came to Jamaica. Give me a quick synopsis of how that was for you as a young boy leaving the UK and coming to Jamaica in the 70s.
Interesting, interesting. Okay, so I remember around about 1970, my parents spoke a lot about going back to Jamaica. It was always their ambition to kind of retire younger. So it it happened around about 1975 is when I left England. I don't think me and my siblings, it wasn't something we wanted to do. We were kind of, I got a nice bicycle, a nice chopper bike, and I think I was bribed a little bit. But we were leaving a lot of what we knew to go somewhere that was, different. And I remember landing in Jamaica like it was yesterday. The pungent smells, the noises from the crickets and the cicadas. It was just unbelievable. It was humid at the time. Coming out of England, I'm not used to. It's pretty cold. So you come to Jamaica and you're like a bit sticky and stuff, and I felt a little bit uncomfortable. We're in the country, and the mosquitoes were, around my ears. You know what I mean? And I woke up in the morning, I felt like I was on one of those nature programs, Naked and Afraid. I had mosquito bites all over me, man. So that was it. And I remember the first meal, it had boiled breadfruit in it. And up until now, boiled breadfruit isn't one of mine. I think it was chicken back flour, boiled breadfruit. I don't remember any greens, but anyway, go ahead. You need any more, or is that okay?
Oh, that's good. That's good. That's good. That's good. I have that in my home because my wife did the same transition like you from England to
Mhm.
Jamaica. What school did you attend when you came to Jamaica?
Unity Primary School in Stratbogie.
And how did that school compare to the school that you were attending in the UK?
I think when it comes to facilities, bathroom and lunchroom and all of those things, coming from a relative first world country, everything was, we even had a PE kit, we had to put on special plimsolls that you went to Woolworths and bought. Your parents would buy special, whether it was blue shorts and white t-shirt. It was just, everything was so formal, and obviously coming to Jamaica, it being a developing country, it wasn't so, want of a better word, there was a lot of things needing, you know what I mean? But for me, it was new and I was young, and it was important for me to just, my eyes were just open. I was just grasping it all in, you know what I mean?
Okay. You know what? I had a favorite teacher at Unity. Who was your favorite teacher at Unity?
I actually like Miss Cox. I really like Miss Cox, but she was a strong woman, and when she beat you with that belt, it wailed you. It was, yeah, yeah. I like Miss Cox. She was great.
Well, we have something in common right there because she's also my favorite teacher.
Mm.
Okay, Roger. The transition now from Unity to Mannings. Give me a quick synopsis on that.
Well, before you say that, you made me think of something. So coming from England, the lessons class that Miss Cox and every now and again Miss Dobson used to do for us, was such a shock academically. The maths, the verbal reasoning. I think we even had to know countries and capitals and prime ministers and presidents. That I had to really, really. That was for me was a big deal. Kids in England at the time don't even know who their prime minister is, much less prime minister of 100 countries around the world. So that was a big deal. And for your second question, I think having the pressure of having your name in the Gleaner to go passing the common entrance to go to high school was a big deal. I think it was a big deal for me to pass it the first time. I think it was known, or people used to think that kids from England weren't the brightest at that time, so i I think I had to work hard, but I don't think it was that the kids from England weren't as bright. That whole repeating stuff, parrot fashion, wasn't all around the world. It's done in places that excel in academia like India and the Caribbean a lot.
Okay. All right, Roger. Unity, then to Mannings, Mrs. Cox, favorite teacher at Unity. Who was your favorite teacher at Mannings?
I have to say Mrs. Malcolm. And I'm not sure if she was the home economics teacher, but I think she was. But she used to dress in some lovely trousers, suits in some real bright colors. This is my memory as a youngster. So maybe the color them used to dull, but I remember reds and yellows and greens. And as a young boy, she was everything a woman, from our point of view, she was everything a woman should be.
Well, she was a favorite of a lot of the guys, but as I cross my heart, just letting you know that she passed away a few months ago. Okay, Roger, you did not graduate Mannings because you decided to return to your homeland in the UK. Tell us about that transition again from Jamaica back to the UK.
Well, I have to say this, in 1979 to 1980, Jamaica wasn't a happy place to be. It was a tough, tough time. I think I think because of the ambitions of our government at the time, Jamaica was put in a tough situation because of its relationship with its neighbor. And financially, it was, when your money is diminishing, you have to find somewhere and go. And luckily, myself, my brother and sister had the opportunity to move back to the UK.
Okay, good. Okay, Roger, back to the UK. Give us some career paths that you took when you went back to the UK. Did you finish high school in England, and where did you go on to after high school in England?
So that's a great question. So well, after I left Jamaica, I went to a school called Stationers Company in Hornsey in North London. I finished there, um, got whatever O levels I needed, and went to Southgate Technical College to do my A levels. After I finished my A levels, maths and physics were the only subjects I could do. My English lang was just really, really bad. Just, I think subjects that took a lot of sitting down and reading and stuff just wasn't for me. I'm a calculus guy, and that was what I was all about. I've always wanted to be an engineer. It chose me from a very early age, so it was just one of the things I'd done. After my A levels, I found a job in the Evening Standard newspaper, and it was working as a trainee radio technician for the Metropolitan Police. So it had to do with the radios. And, we'd go out and fix the police radios and do all that sort of stuff. So I'd done that for a decent amount of time. And then it was a really tough time in England because they were having race riots and all this sort of stuff, Brixton riots, Tottenham riots, and the police was the enemy. And guess who Roger worked for? The police. So when I'm in the police station wiring up the radio for their press to talk radio so they can talk, I'm seeing people I go club with at night, if I'm Friday, Saturday night, guys that I would see in the club, they'd be in the lockup. So all of a sudden, informer, you know what I mean? Because to a roadman, they don't know that it's a job. So there came a time when we used to have green engineering in buses or Sherpa vans, and they wanted to change them into white and put the MP police on the side because the police wanted to make it seem as though the presence of police was more prevalent. And in doing so, they wanted to do that. And that was my opportunity to cut and leave. And then from there, I was always wireless and radio is my thing. And I went from there and got into the cell phone technology. And I'm still in it now.
Okay. And that transition in your engineering field got you to move to the Lone Star state of Texas. So how did
Yeah.
that transition from England to Texas? You should have worked for the United Nations, man. You lived in so many countries.
Yeah. So that was so the GSM was very European. So the Americans started the cell phone technology, wireless, where you can move around in a car with your cell phone. They originated that, but they sat on that technology for a long time, and then the Europeans came up with this with GSM. So it was popular in places like South Africa, Australia, all over Europe, and they were going to adopt it in the US. And then the headhunters came to the UK, and I put myself in the right position, and there you were. I came to Dallas, Texas, and it's been the hottest country I've ever lived in my life. I know 38C, I know 40C. So I've I know what it's like to be in a country where you come out the airport and you feel like you put your head in an oven. So eh,
Okay, Roger, a little bit about, family life. Are you married? Do you have kids? What about, marriage and family? Just give me on that.
yeah, I've got a wife I've been married to for 31 years, Angela. Two boys, Callum and Mitchell. One's 29, one's 28. And we all live together in a brick house.
All right. Okay, Roger. Transition from England to Jamaica, from Jamaica back to England, from
Mhm.
England to the Lone Star state of Texas, United States. Let me ask you a very iffy question that most people are always afraid of. Are you religious? And if not, why you're not?
No, I'm not religious at all. I grew up in the church. Used to go to church Monday for family training hour, Wednesday for prayer meeting, Friday for youth meeting, and twice on Sunday. I have had the ability to read the Bible from cover to cover twice. When I was going to church, it was all about fire and brimstone if you've done anything wrong. And as a youngster, Gabby, I had a lot of questions, and a lot of the questions weren't being answered to my satisfaction. As I've got older, I understand that um, everyone has their belief, but for me, it's just not for me. I can give you two incidents when I was young that I saw that made me feel like I was in a cult or a matrix. Number one, um, I remember a 13-year-old girl being impregnated by a deacon at our church, and most of the elders in the church blamed the 13-year-old, and that was pretty normal. She too flighty or whatever the terminology they used to use. And I know another situation where a woman was being abused by her husband, and I think she wanted to divorce him. And I remember specifically nobody would sit with that woman in church. They wouldn't share. When you used to go to church, there was always you sing what I want him sing. Nobody would sing with that woman, and they use real unkind words to describe the woman. And when you come to find out, it was she was just trying to get out of her bad situation. And maybe in the civil rights days, especially in America, it had its use. I think everyone has a passion for something, and if it makes some people happy, great for them. But I think for me, the preponderance of the evidence is for those that believe to say what it is they believe. But no one's going to tap me on the shoulder and tell me any of these stories, and I'm going to believe it. But don't get me wrong, I'm learning to live and let's live, and I try not to. I mean, I want to ask questions. If you look at me, Gabby, and says, God spoke to me, I really want to say, well, what was his accent like? Was he a heavy breather? How did he sound? What language did he speak to you in? Did he sound like a Jamaican? Was he American? You know what I mean? Or do the sci-fi films depict him the way you heard him? But those are the things. I just want us to talk. And as humans, I just think we need to talk a little bit more. That's
All right. Well said, my brother. Okay, Roger. You have done quite a few jobs in your illustrious career so far.
don't know about illustrious, but there you go.
All right. Let me know which of the jobs you did that you really enjoyed, and tell me one that you didn't really enjoy that much.
I'm a fault finder, and whenever I've gone to like a base station and there's issues there, I like to solve them. And by solving them, just using deductive reasoning and whatever tools and knowledge and test equipment and fixing the issue. I love doing that. I love to have that, okay, you've made something happen today. So I'm in a position now that I do that now, even as a 58-year-old. I'm doing that now. And when I was back in England, I've always loved that job that gave you kind of like a chef that cooks a really nice steak. You know what I mean? You're proud of it. Yeah, it was one of them things. A job I hated was when I left the Met Police in England. I was working for a cable TV company when cable TV just came out. And I'm going to say this is going to be 19, let's call it 85, 84. And I worked for a cable TV company, and I was in some really nice apartments in Edgware Road in England, real upscale. But we had to run the cable through these ducts, these heating ducts and stuff. And the only way you could get through the ducts, you had to crawl through it on your hands and knees. And it was kind of warm in there. Anyway, and I'd be walking through like an army man on my elbows. And every now and again, my hand would brush on something and I'd pick it up, and it was a dead cat. But the cat had kind of no body because it had been in there so long. It was just the fur. So it looks like they got caught in this kind of HVAC, some kind of system they had under there. They just got caught in there and it closed and they couldn't come out or whatever. And it happened about 6 or 7 times, you know what I mean? And I thought to myself, man, I just, it's been in situations like that, or being on a cell site with a lot of pigeon guano, and dead pigeons and stuff like that. That's, when you're on rooftops, you see a lot of that. So those kind of things I've never liked.
Wow. Roger, what have you learned most about yourself as you mature?
That's a good question. A great guy came up with that. As I've got older, I'm realizing that we're all here. We're all searching for something. You know what I mean? If even if you're religious, even if you're just hopeful in life, I just think that we're all searching for something. And as I get older, I cannot believe that I'm still inquisitive. I spend hours on YouTube at night just learning stuff. And I didn't know that as I got older, my quest for knowledge would be so great.
All right, what are you most passionate about? I see you wearing your soccer jersey, your football jersey, I should say.
Thank you.
Because
Yep.
we live in the US, we give this beautiful sport this name
Mm.
called soccer. I've gotten caught up into it. But your football jersey, um, what's your number one soccer team, the team that you root for?
I'm a true blue and I support Chelsea Football Club. But you have to understand my journey in soccer and most people's isn't the same. And if you want, I can dig down and let you know why it's different. So when I was young, there's a guy called Clyde Best. He used to play for West Ham. And as far as I'm concerned, he was like the first black guy we ever saw on TV. So this was like 19, I don't know, someone's gonna correct me, 1972. So your dad would say, look, Clyde Best is playing, and as a black guy living in England, he was the only guy. So people, the supporters who didn't look like us and were of the lighter hue would take great pride to go to the market, and they would buy bananas and coconuts, and they'd throw them on the field, and make chimp sounds up and down the country, just make chimpanzee sounds. And that's why I always think about who, who these guys really were to go through what they did, the early trailblazers. And then it was guys like Cyril Regis, Brendan Batson, and over time, Luther Blissett and the Johnny Barnes and these sort of guys. So when it came to a team for me, it wasn't, I didn't have that passion. I followed people because I came from Tottenham. And then there was a time I liked Arsenal, but I didn't like Arsenal because I thought Arsenal were better than Tottenham. Arsenal had Ian Wright, Rocastle, Paul Davis. You call Paul Davis Campbell. Said like five black guys. So in the early '80s, a team with five black guys on it, as a yard man, you had to that was your team. So had this come about now, Jose Mourinho fielded eight black guys on his team once. The Drogba days. I think there was probably a midfielder, a defender, and a goalkeeper that was white. The whole team was black at one point. In that was Chelsea. So guess what? I had to support Chelsea, and I haven't put them down since. But I'm just trying to let you know I wasn't. Chelsea wasn't my team. When I went to England, Chelsea was a team that had no black guys back in the day. So they weren't even a team I'd look at. But since I came to America and Jose Mourinho was doing his thing, I thought this is great.
Wow. Well said. I love that history. Just give us some history there because about best. The best would be, you know, like one of the greats here in America who broke the color barrier.
Mhm,
Of course, like the great Jackie Robinson,
mhm,
back in April 15, 1947, to be the first black guy to play baseball in this
mhm,
country. So I love that history. Glad for that, Roger. I really love
mhm,
it. I became a Liverpool fan when they signed Johnny Barnes back in
mhm,
the 1980s because I really love to see that they signed a person of Jamaican roots to that.
mhm.
Okay, Roger. Um, this is one that I like to ask people. A lot of people shy away from it, but knowing you since we were kids, I know you won't shy away from this one. When we expire, what do you think happens to us?
Oh, easy. We're going back to the same place we were before we were born. Same place.
Place.
And if you want to know what that feels like,
Very interesting answer.
go and have an operation. And when they put you down, you ever notice when they put you down, even when you go get your wisdom teeth out or whatever, when they put you down, when you come back to, you're thinking to yourself, when am I going to go and get seen? And the doctor taps you on the shoulder and says, we've done it already, sir. In that same place. That's my belief. But you know, you can talk about honey and milk up in heaven. If that's for you, that's for you. I'm lactose intolerant. I'm gonna like too much sugar. So there you go.
Well, very interesting, Roger. Very interesting answer. All right. This is one I love to ask. When you think of the future, are you hopeful or not? And tell me why.
I'm definitely not hopeful. I think where we're going as a human race, I think everything we're doing, wow, I don't want to sound too passionate about this, by the way. I think everything we're doing as a human race is to end the human race over time. So, I'm in a workplace now wherein I'm noticing that a lot of the kids that are younger now are choosing to identify as who they want to identify as. whether it is, gender and sex. And that's down to them. But I'm a numbers man. And I'm looking at the amount of numbers, over time, how this is happening. So I don't know if it's in the food we're eating. I don't know if it's the pressure and the stress that's going through, but something's going on. And then when you couple that with AI and you couple that with situations wherein, you know, um, billions of dollars have been given to California to solve the homeless crisis. And it's just as bad because they've misused the money and used the homeless crisis to line their own pockets. You look at Sao Paulo, wherein all the government officials are like, hey, we're going to solve the problem in Sao Paulo. And then all of a sudden, there's helipads everywhere. So none of the government ministers have to drive on the street. You know what I mean? Every rooftop is a helipad. That's how they get around. So when you think about all of this level of selfishness, you look at companies, when in the 70s, and please comment if you disagree, come on and argue with me. I love this thing because I love talking. When you look at a lot of these companies in the 70s and the 60s, the owner or the boss, he earned maybe one and a half times the amount the guy on the shop floor is working, maybe two, not 10,000 times what he's earning. You know what I mean? Not 5,000 times what he's earning. And when you couple all of these that's going on, there's going to be an issue where the greed is allowing people that don't have the money, they're going to be starting to die. As you saw in COVID, you see nobody ain't planting food, especially in these big countries. So these people are gonna start go to Walmart and all of these shops. And if you live in um, some of these areas where you can't get good fresh food to buy, you're just gonna blow up and be susceptible to diseases. And the rich, they'll be getting bigger and bigger and bigger, but their numbers aren't growing. And then after a while, when AI come over, next thing you know, a pure Dalek and robot are run things. That's my view. And I
Yeah.
can see that happening in probably
Mhm.
90, 100 years.
Wow. Very, very interesting the way you put it, Roger. Well said on that. You mentioned something a while ago. Both of us have serious passion for Jamaica.
Mm.
Give me a quick synopsis of what do you think is happening in Jamaica right now when it comes on to the political arena? A lot of people shy away from this question, but I know you won't shy away from it. Give me a quick couple of minutes on what you think about what's happening with politics in Jamaica right now.
Ooh, so I love what the Jamaica Labour Party is doing today. All of the key performance indicators are showing that, their bank book and, the GDP, um, and things are going well. The problem is um, the people on the ground are saying, I can't feel the prosperity. I was watching the news today. A lady called Vaz was saying, your time will come. She's talking to people of maybe the lowest socio-economic level in JA. She's saying, your time will come because the JLP are hearing this. She says, and she used an expression wherein she said, the mothers she's producing milk on a wait till the milk ready, to lactate or whatever the case may be. But she used that example, and I was thinking, well, people don't want to hear that. They don't want to hear that. All they can see is people driving up in our markets and whatever. We are come from slavery. I feel with time now. That's what their thoughts are. And I always wonder to myself, why is it that why is it that when we think about helping the poor, it's cash program, it's giving away and this, that, and the other, and we can't afford it. But yet sometimes you see money being put in other areas that you don't really understand. You know what I mean? So I like what's going on now. What I don't like is I sometimes think some countries, and you can see it in the US, you can't just keep flip flopping every 4 years. You know what I mean? Sometimes you need 10, 15, 20 years to get where you need to be. And It's fortunate that the trajectory in Jamaica looks so good. My worry is that even if Andrew doesn't win next year, my worry is that all the good work, I hope someone else is able to keep that momentum going, irrespective of what side of the aisle, because I think at the end of the day, as our good friend from Waterworks says, the pearl is the most important thing, Jamaica. Protect the pearl. And I think it's so important that we come together as patriots and not a green shirt man and an orange shirt man. And I think too much of that's going on. Even if you are wrong, the fact that you wear the shirt that I support, it's as though I can't say you're wrong. Wherein, if you had an orange shirt, I'd be condemning you. I just think that's a little bit, it's very political and it's probably been going on for years and it goes on everywhere in the world. So it's not unique. But I'm pretty, yeah, I like what I'm seeing. And, you know, infrastructure obviously needs to be work on. I just think, after we manage not to go down the road of communism and we sided with the West, I just hoped the West would have done a little bit more to help us. And I think I don't think that was the case.
Well said, well said. You mentioned infrastructure. I was down in Jamaica a few weeks ago and I drove around the West Coast, around Lucy, Green Island. Man, I'm telling you, it was a beautiful, beautiful scenery. Roads were very
Mm.
good, quite good, and it was a very good scenery. Let's go back to Mannings a little, Raja. Did you have a high school crush?
Um, no, I had a crush on women. So at that time, there was lots of them, so in my class, you know, um, all the girls were beautiful. I was just that guy, so, if I was to start naming them now, you would be saying to my, if I missed out anybody, it'd be a problem. All the ladies were beautiful, and that was from Unity School too. I don't know. Yeah.
Okay. All right,
Mm,
Raja.
mm.
We're wrapping up right now. And very quick question. Have you any vices?
Yeah, I like rum and coke. I love I love a Jamaican cigar when I can get one. Yeah, no, definitely. And I think everybody should have a vice. I think it's good for your mental health. Have something to lean on, when life becomes stressful. Some people pray, some people exercise. We all, as humans, everywhere in the world, every single place in the world, every single civilization has something, whether it's a nut that they chew and get high from, whether it's something them some fermentation is going on. And I'm telling you, you name the civilization, there is something going on. Even in the deepest Amazon, deepest Africa, deepest Australia, in the outback, they have something that keeps. Because I think life is tough.
Okay. Okay, Raja. This is True Blue Lounge, Raja. So this is my second to last question for you. How has Mannings shaped your life? Give me a percentage. How has Mannings shaped your life for the 4 years you attended Mannings? Tell me how inspirational that wonderful alma mater of ours. How did it shape your life to where you are now?
Ooh. So I think it started a little bit before Mannings, and I'm going to give Unity a little bit of credit. A good friend of mine said, Rog, when we were going to Unity school, our teachers used the belt on us. And the reason the teacher used the belt on us was we needed to go from Unity School to Mannings High School. Because at the time, the common perception was if you didn't get into high school, you'd be cutting cane. Not my rules. I didn't make up the rules. I'm just saying that was it. So these teachers, you know, beat so that we could get the best out of us. I remember Nigel Myrie getting 95%. and Mrs. Cox gave him 10 of the best and said, "You shouldn't get more." And better still, I think it was even 98. He got two wrong or something, and she beat him. And I was thinking, man, as a grown up, I was thinking, wow, that was hard to kind of wrap my head around. The man only missed two, two out of 100, but he got beaten for it. And I think for me, the competitive nature of having to compete. So you knew, at the time when we went to school, especially when we went to Unity early ages, we're from the country. There's a lot of poor people around us. So, no one went to school to mess around. We went to school to get our O levels and A levels and get out. You know what I mean? So that whole experience for me, whenever I was in a job or anything, whenever I went for a job, I would always try to, kind of do my best, um, be the best, make any excuses. But, you know, it was in you. I'm not going to say I was always picture perfect. I'm just saying that fight was always there. So whenever you went in a room as a Jamaican, you look around, you say, boy, no one looks like me. Especially when you're in America, you're the only one of the darker hue in the room. And a lot of that, you'll notice a lot of Jamaicans are in these situations because we ain't looking at certain things. We step on the rocks and find a way to get to where we need to be rather than sit around and moan. You know what I mean?
Yes, yes. No, so true. Just a quick little story. When I came to the US, I applied for a job and I gave them my transcript and it said DC Cambridge. And the guy who interviewed me thought I went to Cambridge University. So, that's a funny story. I didn't make him wiser. Okay,
Mhm.
Roger, my final question for you, my friend. I really, I'm pleased that I've gotten this chance to interview you. But my final question for you is this is something Jamaicans shy away from. And when we speak about mental health, Jamaicans run to the hills like a scared hare. When I was growing up in Burn Savannah, when we saw a person who had mental challenges, we made fun of that person because we didn't know anything. How do you manage your mental health?
Good question. Let me see. Let me see. So I know how to relax. I'm fortunate. I've got a little safe space, which is my office. So I know how to get away, listen music, pour myself a scotch. I love playing chess. Love playing chess. I love playing face-to-face chess. And I love, me and a friend will be playing chess for 2, 3 hours. And in the 3 hours, we'll probably exchange 5 sentences to each other. You know what I mean? So I play a lot of chess, watch a lot of YouTube, listen to a lot of audiobooks. As I said, I like a cigar and I drink rum. Oh, and I love arguing. So if you say up, I say down. If you're an atheist, I'm a Christian. If you're a Republican, I'm a Democrat. If you're a Democrat, I'm a Republican. So I like shaking things up. And for me, it helps my mental health because I like to poke because I've had the opportunity to kind of divorce my ego with situations around me, whether it's grief, whatever has gone on in your life. And I've reached a stage wherein at 58, if we can't talk about things, when are we going to? So my mental health is messing with you. I'm like, hey Gabby, how's it going? If you keep telling me about something, I'm gonna say, I'm gonna always challenge you. And by me challenging you all the time, it keeps me young and keeps a smile on my face. And it frustrates you, but I hope you push back and have fun with me because guess what? There's going to be a time when there'll be no one taking the piss out of you and having fun.
That's true. That's true. One more, Roger. We lost
Mhm,
a very good friend at the tender age of 13, Oakton Johnny K.
mhm.
How did that affect you as a Manning student at the time, as a Unity School student, which he was also? How did it affect you seeing a friend of ours transition at the tender age of 13 from that tragic accident on the Cave Road when we were going to Monroe on that day.
So I think it was very, very. It was a very tragic time. I think the school was kind of stunned into to silence. A lot of us as young kids didn't know where to put our heads. There was no one to talk to us. But being young, I think I had the ability to shrug it off quickly. But I cannot imagine because there was no visuals for me because I was not on the bus. But for guys like yourself that was on the bus, saw the gore, were frozen, couldn't believe what happened. And for the people that listening that don't know what happened, Hopeton's um, head was outside the window as the bus went past a sign, and the sign hit his head, and you guys can imagine, how gory that was. But I just think for you guys that were on the bus, how you guys got over it is more the question. I got over it pretty quickly because, as I said, there was no visuals, there was no smartphone, there was none of that stuff that you see going on now. So it was, hey, I heard. Do you understand what I'm saying? But you guys that saw it, you know, it's just like being in Jamaica, going to my first funeral, seeing that first dead body. I'm like, man, I remember it now. You know what I mean? So that was it. I
Oh, yeah.
hope I answered your question.
Yeah, man. Still affects me 46 years later, my brother. Roger, I want to thank you. I want to
Mhm,
thank you very much for taking the time out
mhm,
to sit in the hot seat here on True Blue Lounge. Thank your beautiful wife, Angela, for me,
mhm.
for us to keep you away on this Sunday night. And I hope you have a wonderful week ahead of you. And I hope you have a wonderful Memorial Day next Monday. And thank you for your time, my brother.
I'm gonna have to start watching you. You're doing a good job at this, a good job. I'm gonna have to start watching you. It look like with you here now, we can go on vacation. That's nice, 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 nice. Thank you very much, Gabby. You done really, really good. Thank you.
All right. Welcome, my brother. Thank you.
All right.